Long after the people who built it are gone, long after the reasons they built it are forgotten, these castles were here before Outlander found them. And the stories inside them, the real ones, make the show look like a gentle introduction. Tantallon Castle at the edge of East Lothian, 3 sides of raw cliff, the North Sea beneath, 1 wall facing land, 12 feet of stone between the Douglases and everyone who wanted them dead. And people did want them dead, kings mostly. Margaret Tudor came here, Henry VIII's sister. She'd left the English court, left silk and ceremony and her brother's considerable shadow, and married into the most dangerous family in Scotland. She stood on this headland, the wind of the Forth on her face, the sea below, the walls of the castle that belonged to a man she was no longer sure she could trust. She knew what it was to be a woman inside someone else's ambition. Her son James knew it too. For 3 years his stepfather Angus had kept him, a king, as a virtual prisoner in Edinburgh Castle, controlled his movements, controlled his court, controlled his country. He was 16 years old. Then one night he got out. He rode hard for Stirling, gathered his men and turned around. Angus ran here, of course he did. Where else do you run when a king wants your head? James came after him with every cannon he could lay hands on. And somewhere on that road, Scotland being Scotland, someone gave the line worthy of the moment, "Ding Doun Tantallon." 20 days of bombardment, the walls held. A 16-year-old king, a full artillery train, 20 days, and 1 wall simply refused. Angus fled to England. James took the castle, made it stronger. But some humiliations you carry your whole life. Cromwell finished what James couldn't, 1651. 12 days, by then the Douglases were long gone. But they held this headland for 300 years. You'd hear it before you saw it, the water, always the water, lapping at the stone beneath you in the dark. And you'd know, without anyone telling you, there was no way out. Outlander made this Fort William, Black Jack Randall's seat. The place they brought Jamie Fraser and did what they did. The show didn't have to work hard. This place had been in that business for centuries. 250 years as a state prison, over 200 documented prisoners, and those are just the ones researchers have found so far. Cardinals, lords, women accused of stealing from their queen, men whose only crime was praying the wrong way. It wasn't equal opportunity suffering. High status prisoners got rooms, a fireplace, a window. They paid for their own food, their bedding, their dignity. Everyone else went into the pit. The pit prison sat at the base of the North Tower. A drain opened directly to the sea. Twice a day at high tide it flooded. That was how it was cleaned. One man, Lord Ochiltree, arrived here sentenced to life for slander. He spent years writing to the government, begging, not for freedom, just enough money to eat. Prisoners paid for everything themselves. When Cromwell's army appeared in 1651, Ochiltree had been here so long he'd lost count of the petitions. He was one of the only people in Scotland glad to see them. Claire Fraser walked through a version of these gates. She had Jamie. The real ones had no one. Outlander made this dramatic. It didn't need the help. You know this one, Castle Leoch, the place Claire Fraser arrives, cold, frightened, and possibly far from everything she knew. surrounded by men speaking a language she half understands, and a world running on rules she hasn't learned yet. The author puts her here for a reason, because this castle was built by a man who understood power completely, who spent his entire life accumulating it, who governed Scotland for decades without ever being king. Robert Stewart, Duke of Albany. His brother was the actual king, Robert III, too broken by illness and grief to govern, so Albany governed for him, quietly, completely, for years. And then his nephew James, the heir to the future, was taken by the English on his way to France. Albany could have paid the ransom. For 18 years he didn't. Whether he couldn't or wouldn't, Scotland never quite decided. For 18 years the rightful king sat in English captivity, and Albany ran the country from the castle on the River Teith. Look at where he built it. Water on two sides, high ground, every road watched. This was never a home. This was control. James came home in 1424, 18 years of captivity behind him. He was not a man inclined toward forgiveness. Albany's son, Murdoch, was arrested, tried, executed. And then there was Isabella, Albany's wife. She was here when they came, in this courtyard. Everything that had protected her, her husband's name, his power, his careful, dangerous ambition, gone. Her son dead. The walls she'd lived inside for years suddenly belonging to someone else entirely. They took her to Tantallon, the place we started today. A woman left to survive the consequences of a man's choices. Outlander gave this place warmth, Jamie and Claire, a love story set against the brutality of it all. But that's the thing about these castles. The real stories are always better. 3 castles, 600 years of history. Powerful men who thought these walls would protect them forever. And the women who outlasted them. Outlander knew what it was doing when it came here. Now you do too. Next time I'll try and cover some more locations filmed in Outlander. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, there's plenty more still to come.